Daily Bible Time, Monday morning. Thanks for joining us, and we're on a journey through Mark's Gospel. On Friday, we saw the Roman trial of Jesus. I'm following the commentator William Lane here, and the Roman procurator Pontius Pilate did not believe that Jesus was guilty, but rather than pronouncing for acquittal, he decides he's going to do the politically expedient thing and deal with the case in terms of paschal amnesty, an amnesty at the Passover celebration. And so Mark 15 verse 6, at the festival, Pilate used to release for the people a prisoner who they requested. There was one named Barabbas who was in prison with rebels. He'd committed murder during the rebellion. The crowd came up and began to ask Pilate to do for them as was his custom. Pilate answered, "Do you want me to release the king of the Jews for you?" For he knew it was out of envy that the chief priests had handed him over. So Lane notes that the historicity of this practice has actually been disputed, and that those doubts come because the Jewish historian Josephus doesn't have any accounts of this kind of practice. But as Lane points out, there is a parallel in which the Roman procurator was authorized to give a pardon, acquit individual prisoners in response to shouts lobbying from the people. Anyway, what happens here is that the insurgent Barabbas, who's been charged with murder, probably he was a popular hero, a leading zealot, and Pilate assumes that the people are going to go for the release of Jesus rather than Barabbas if he puts it to the popular vote. And Lane points out Pilate's effort to release Jesus, it's not just a matter of justice and humanity. He does have this anti-Semitic bias. He despises the Jews. He despises their leaders. And so by default, when they bring him something, he takes an attitude of resistance when asked by the Jewish leaders to do something. And he would have known, in fact the passage says this, he knows the existence of some kind of hidden agenda, ulterior motive, even if he doesn't have the detail of what that motive is. But they are wanting, well, the passage says they're envious, but they're wanting to rid themselves of someone who's a trouble to them, a thorn in their side, and they're wanting to expediently use Pilate's administration to their ends. And when you look at it like that, well, Pilate's reluctance to go along with the priest's demands is very understandable, says Lane. And in his questioning of Jesus, he would have seen that Jesus was anything but a political agitator. So I'm going to keep reading verse 11, Mark 15. The chief priests stirred up the crowd so that he'd release Barabbas to them instead. Pilate asked them again, "Well, what do you want me to do with the one you call the king of the Jews?" And again they shouted, "Crucify him." And Lane notes that Pilate hasn't considered that the people were much more likely to go along with the priests, their leaders, rather than him. And even though he might have thought logic was on his side. Verse 14, Pilate said to them, "Why? What's he done wrong?" They shouted all the more, "Crucify him." Wanting to satisfy the crowd, Pilate released Barabbas to them, and after having Jesus flogged, he handed him over to be crucified. Now, what we see, Jesus, the innocent one, dying in the place of the guilty. Again, it's a parable of what he does for us. Years ago, I was impacted by Nathan Tasker's song about this. His song, Call Me Barabbas. I think it sums it up better than anything else I've read. I'm just going to read a couple of lines of the lyrics and then we'll play it out here. "Crucify him," they shouted so loud, the angry death wish from the rabble crowd. "We want Barabbas set free." The choice had been made, the hands had been washed, the death of one man is all his freedom cost. But I can't help thinking Barabbas is me, and Jesus set me free. So call me Barabbas, 'cause that's who I am. All I deserve has been given to him. The guilty set free, the innocent must die. A lifetime of sin is all that I know. I should have been killed, but Jesus let me go. And I can't forget the death of that man. It set free Barabbas, and that's who I am.
Crucify him, they shouted so loud, the angry death wish from the rabble crowd. We want Barabbas set free. The choice had been made, the hands had been washed. The death of one man is all his freedom cost. But I can't help thinking Barabbas is me, and Jesus set me free. So call me Barabbas, 'cause that's who I am. All I deserve has been given to him. the innocent must die. Yeah. And a lifetime of sin is all that I know. I should have been killed, but Jesus let me go. And I can't forget the death of that man. It set free Barabbas, and that's who I am. Oh my goodness. He was risen, the disciples did say, ascended to heaven, the price has been paid. The temple curtain it now lays in two, and the pathway to life is now paved by his blood, protected on both sides by the Father's love. He wants to love me and you, 'cause of nothing we do. So call me Barabbas, 'cause that's who I am. All I deserve has been given to him. The guilty set free, the innocent must die. And a lifetime of sin is all that I know. I should have been killed, but Jesus let me go. And I can't forget the death of that man. It set free Barabbas. That's who I am. And I can't forget the look in his eyes as I pass by, free. Jesus set me free. Now I'm free. So call me forgiven, 'cause that's what I am. All I deserve has been given to him. The guilty set free, the innocent must die.